Okay, welcome everybody. It's about 3 after 6, and I can see there's more people joining, so I'll do some quick introductory comments as folks join here. Just one quick question, or a couple of housekeeping items. If I could ask everybody to stay on mute unless they're speaking, that would be great. Otherwise, we will have a lot of fun echoes. We have 3 topics that we are going to cover this evening, and so I'll kind of tee those up, and then we'll go back to quick introductions on the board side. So first, Jeremy Butler, who's the CEO of IAVA, is here with us tonight, and he's going to talk about what IAVA has been up to specifically around voting and get out the vote activities, including their partnership with 11 other, I believe it's 11 other VSOs, as well as the Military Times, to get feedback from each of the candidates on their various veteran policies. And so he'll talk a little bit about that effort and endeavor, and then we'll have some Q&A on that, and he'll give you some coordinates to access that information so you can get educated and hopefully get out and vote. Next, we'll have Maria Serrano, who's the Director of Senior Employment at the Bureau of Direct Services for the New York City Department of the Aging. As everyone knows, about roughly half of our veteran population here in New York City is over the age of 60, so she's going to explain a lot about what they do, how they can help, how they engage with veterans, and I think is looking for some ideas and ways to perpetuate further and future veteran engagement. And then lastly, we'll have the Commissioner Hendon from the Department of Veteran Services. We'll give everyone an update on what they have been up to through this pandemic and the support they've been providing, and then that'll be followed by Q&A to basically get more information out into the community. So usually we do around the horn make introductions. I think in light of the format and our efforts to do that last time, which didn't work there very well, I'll actually introduce our board members who are in attendance tonight. So Joe Bello is our secretary, and he is on the line here. John Rowan is here as well. Annette Tucker Osborne is on. Peter Kaufman, Paul Dietrich, who's one of our newer members, and Jen Komrowski, who I think this is her first meeting, if not it's her second, so also one of our newer members. So we're excited to have them on. Obviously, there's a number of folks on now, so I'm going to assume that we're far enough along, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Jeremy Butler. As I mentioned, he'll give you some color on what they've been up to. If you do have questions and you're online, you're welcome to type them into the chat, and we'll try and read those off. And then we'll try and give a round of folks on the phones to participate in dialogue to the extent they have any questions. So with that, let me turn it over to Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy, we can't hear you.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Still can't hear you, Jeremy.
Sing it up.
Hey, Jeremy, I'm going to text you a phone number that maybe you can dial in if I can find it, that maybe you can dial in from your cell phone. Copy. Okay, so I've just sent Jeremy that the phone number to dial in, so we have a backup comms here. Are you speaking? Okay. So why don't I ask if is Maria Serrano on the group chat here?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay, great. We'll shift fire here and we'll go in a different order. So Maria, I'll ask you to maybe introduce yourself and then tell us what the Department of Aging has been up to and how we should engage further with the veteran community.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haskin. But first of all, I want to bring warm regards from the Department for the Aging, our Commissioner Lorraine Vasquez, and also our Assistant Commissioner Marisa Arroyo for having the opportunity of coordinating this session with your Cassandra Alvarez, your Associate Commissioner. And we're just happy and very delighted that we can bring these resources to members of your board and also to all the veterans that can take advantage of the services that the Senior Community Service Employment Program provides. So I have a PowerPoint, and I'm going to start sharing that, right? And let's go right to it. And let me know if you all can see it. Is that good? That's great. So this is basically our presentation. The Department for the Aging hosts the Community Service Program. Our mission is to work to eliminate ageism and to ensure the dignity and quality of New York City's diverse older adult population, and particularly veterans, for the support of their caregivers through service, advocacy, and education. The senior program is also the acronym for CSEP, Senior Community Service Employment Program, is under the federal Title V Act. We offer workforce and community services to New York City older adults. The purpose of the Senior Employment Program is to empower older New Yorkers by assisting in securing their necessary job skills and employment resources that will provide them dignity, financial stability, and well-being. We really care about our seniors, and we want them to be as solid as they can be financially. The program's commitment is certainly to build a strong resource of workforce system for our adults. We provide developmental training and new skills, case management, and we also provide occupational training that will lead to jobs and careers. We also have built a strong relationship with a large and elite business employment sector in New York City, and also with the great community-based organizations and non-profits that are committed to support the needs of all the workers. Who funds the CSEP Title V program is under the United States Department of Labor, the New York State Office for the Aging, and the National Council on Aging. What is the admission criteria? Well, participants interested in the program have to meet these criteria. They must be 55 years of age and older. They must be residents of the 5 boroughs of the city of New York. They need to be unemployed. They must be of low income and must meet federal income poverty guidelines, the 125% guideline, and they must be willing to accept employment. One of the highlights of the program is that we provide, and pay attention to this, we provide a minimum wage of $50 an hour for participating in the program, the 15 or 20 hours that is mandated. Once participants are enrolled, they are considered community service aides. We have transitioned very dramatically during COVID-19. So it's like we are encountering a new norm. So as the New York City and state continue to open, DEFTA Work for Teams works daily with the community service aides to place them in unsubsidized employment with employers that are hiring mostly for remote jobs. I'm stressing remote jobs because we also are very concerned about the well-being of our seniors. The use of virtual technologies like Zoom has become the norm when we are meeting with our community services for job counseling sessions, workshops, and classroom teaching, and also the admission process. The post-pandemic job market is extremely competitive and changing dramatically as employers adapt to using technology as an interviewing tool. Jobs working remote from home are emerging as a result. So we need to be prepared to be interviewed using technology platforms as Zoom, Teams, or WebEx, and others. The program offers a variety of job preparation workshops. These workshops will comprise to make sure that at the end, the participant has a very strong ability, skill, and talent to engage in interviews with the employer and eventually get the job. We have the resume preparation, the job willingness and acceptance of employment, how to prepare you to do a good job interview. So we do a lot of mock interviews with practice. We also do teach you about what is going on in today's economy, how is the job market, why it's important that you decide whether you want to change careers or that you want to give yourself an opportunity to a new training. And certainly we have job clubs that are designed for the participants to dialogue and converse about job and employment opportunities that they are finding through the web. And certainly customer service, which is the key factor to basically in any work structure, the person has to have a strong customer service because companies are very customer service driven. So the virtual classroom is a computer lab. It assists the participants to do the job search using job search engines like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Monster, and Glassdoor. We have job developers that work with the participants every day in this room, answering questions and giving guidance. We also take the opportunity for the participants to practice their computer skills. And we demand that every day they share with us a log of information of the jobs that they search. The job clubs are usually 8 weeks. They're in a comfortable state where the participants can have their own personal conversations about employment, their obstacles, their encounters, and their experiences. We also have the virtual reality workshop. We meet every week for the participants get into the tone of getting employment. They become more motivated. We do a series of exercises that bring awareness of their true abilities, that they are realistic about getting the job that they want. They have to build that confidence. They have to know that they can compete in today's job market no matter what. The reality check opens opportunities and increases their chances of obtaining employment. And we also want the participants to be sure that they know that the program is not forever. It's only a temporary program that is to assist them find employment. So the resources at one point can stop. We want you to have a job before they stop. We also have a food service training, and this one works in hand in hand with the Department of Health for the food service certification. This is a great opportunity for anyone who wants to work in food service. The session course is 50 modules. It includes safe food handling, proper storage, cooking temperatures, and so on. In the last class, we graduated 59 participants that obtained their certification. Of those so far, 19 were hired. So we are very, very strong with that program. The customer service brings you the capacity to address every segment, every level, every situation in the workplace. How to do it with a positive image, the standards of behavior, setting jobs, confronting situations in the workplace, positive conduct, making first good impressions, empathy, enthusiasm, adaptability, resilience. All of that is discussed. We teach you how to do the job right. Some of the jobs that we get, our participants have an opportunity to acquire training with some of our host agency partners, and they can be trained in different occupations as administration, education, management, social work, food service, data entry, customer service, home health. These are also some of the positions that can also be available through our list of employers. Moving on, one sec. Okay, one more. We always like to tell our employers the value that all their workers brings. They are experienced, they're knowledgeable, and they bring wisdom to the workplace. They're great problem solvers, and they are reliable. They are the employee that gives you the flexibility of schedules. They serve as great mentor to the younger population and great role models because of the level of experience that they bring. And now they are technologically savvy. What is the program outlook? Well, our program outlook, despite the pandemic, continues to be very strong. We are engaged. We are engaged with our community service partners. We are also engaged with the employers. We just had a job fair this last Thursday, October 8th. We had 18 employees who participated. It was a virtual job fair, and we had 175 community service days available. We also have a virtual hot jobs board available for our participants. You must always now remember from now on that employers, jobs, and technology go hand in hand, and we have to be ready. Moving down, hold on. Okay. We have a computer lab that it's state of the art. It has the latest technology and equipment capacity for 18 participants at a time. We have 3 of those available to do in-house training. Certainly right now, everything is at a pause, but God willing, everything will be in the near future. We get rid of all this situation with the virus and we come back to the norm. And this is what our classroom will look like. You will learn Microsoft Office skills, Excel, PowerPoint, internet, and you will be able to learn also a lot of information on workforce services. These are some of the photos that we take during our job fair events. We host 2 job fairs every year. Great companies like Barclays, Canon, and hopefully they're all still available after the pandemic, but we're hoping that they continue to be available, and many are. These are some of the photos because during every job fair, what we do is that we celebrate both the participants who are very successful as well as the employers who are partners in our mission. And again, more pictures. This is a job fair at its best. And some of our success stories. Some of our success stories range from people who have emerged from the most incredible situations of being homeless and losing employment and being unemployed for years and having all kinds of situations. And through the program, they have emerged, they have completed the program, and now they're employed and working in very successful and meaningful jobs and getting great salaries. These are some more examples. We also celebrate Older Americans Month every month in September, we just did. And you can find us online. Just log in to www.nyc.gov/aging, and you will go to the page that says senior employment. You will read everything about basically what I've told you, and our number is also available. You will find us also on other websites, as facebook.com for New York City seniors. One more thing before my 10 minutes are up. And this is, we are at 2 Lafayette Street, downtown Manhattan. Remember what I said, for now, we are working remotely, so we're closed. But this is the information. However, you can call us anytime, right now, at 212-602-6958. And from Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and our staff will answer the phone. You will be able to receive the application for the program via email, and you could send it back to us via email, and we'll be happy to receive it. And that's basically what I have for you today. I want to say thank you. I want you to always wear your mask and make sure that you keep your distance and that you won't. Just be very, very positive and all of these shall pass. And we welcome all our veterans to apply for the program and to take advantage of this fantastic opportunity that is available for them too. Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks very much, Maria. Maybe while I'll buy some time here, but if people have questions, if they could maybe either type them into the chat or in a minute we'll open it up to questions. But I believe that the Department of the Aging also offers rides to seniors who may have a difficult time getting to the polling stations. And I wonder if you could comment a little bit on that program and how people might participate and access that.
Are you talking about access to right? That they have an opportunity, I'm sorry.
Yeah, an ability to get a ride specifically around voting, but I guess if it's broader than that, then that would be fine as well. But obviously the election is coming up here, and some of our senior veterans, particularly those who might have some disabilities, may need help getting to the polls. And I understand that your branch or that your department offers rides in that case, and wanted to see if we could get people some awareness of that as well.
I will be more than happy to provide that information for you, and you will be able to share that with the audience. Certainly, I don't have it at hand right now, but I would be more than happy to provide the details of that first thing in the morning.
Yeah. Hey, Maria, this is James Hendon with the Department of Veteran Services. Just want to jump in. I think what Todd's also referring to is the service providers, the network of service providers you guys have, and how someone can go to DFTA's website and just enter their zip code or their borough and what they need, and how they can check transportation. And then it tells them what service providers, as far as the senior centers you work with, can help them in that way. I think that's what he's referring to. That's
wonderful. Yes, I'm sure we're providing those services. And the access information, I don't have it with me at this very moment, but I could provide that in the morning.
Okay. And for those who are on the phone, so you can either go to the Department of the Aging's website, which is
on the website, yes.
Yeah, nyc.gov, and then it's DFTA, or Department for the Aging. And if you type that into Google, it'll come up. There's also a phone number for those who are less tech savvy. The number is 212-244-6469. I say again, 212-244-6469. And they can help with transportation issues, particularly around, I guess, broader than voting, but relevant in voting as well. Maybe just real quickly, if anyone has any questions for Maria.
Please.
And if not, then we will move on to our next speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thanks so much, Maria.
Pleasure. Bye-bye.
Great. Okay, now we're going to move on to Jeremy Butler, the CEO of IAVA, and I think we've got his comms up. Let's see if we get a comm check on that. I still have silence. I wonder if, Emily, do you have an ability to unmute him? I wonder if he's muted on our end. And while we look into that, just for those of you who are online, oh, he's not muted.
No.
Cassandra posted the link to the website.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Jeremy, you're on mute right now. You want to try unmuting on your end?
Yeah, I called in. I'm on the. All right, trying several things here. Trying multiple things here.
No, we've got you now. We can hear you now.
Okay.
I'll turn it over.
Which one I did? Sorry, I'm making a bad first impression here with all these problems. I apologize for that. I'll be quick if I don't screw something up again. But as Todd said, I'm Jeremy Butler. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. We're a national veteran support organization, but we're headquartered here in New York City, have an office in Washington, D.C. The biggest things that we do, really, we're focused on national advocacy, national education and awareness on veterans issues, and also provide direct services to veterans. One of the things I want to talk about, and it's a good segue from Maria, she mentioned voting. One of the biggest things that we focused on this fall was really raising awareness to make sure that veterans issues were at the forefront of people's minds and politicians' mind, more importantly, as we proceed to the election, not just at the presidential, but on down ballot as well. So we started something called the Vote Hub at IAVA.org, focused on making sure everyone had an easy opportunity to register to vote. They can sign up to be a poll worker if they wanted to. They can find out where their polling site is. Whatever it is that they need, they're able to do that. There's a number of other free options out there. Ours is free. We're not necessarily saying ours is the one you have to use, but just wanted to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to get to that. And along with that, one of the things that we worked with some other VSOs to set up was, the idea was for it to be a presidential town hall with both Vice President Biden and President Trump providing video remarks, answering questions submitted by IAVA and some other VSOs. We started this about 3-4 months ago. Both campaigns agreed to do it. We were moving down the line to have this worked out. Military Times was going to sort of provide the bridge, MC it, if you will, even though it was going to be pre-recorded ahead of time. Unfortunately, we didn't end up getting video remarks from the Trump campaign. That said, Military Times kind of cobbled together the written remarks that they had with the video remarks that Vice President Biden submitted. So I encourage everyone to check out Military Times. I'll drop the link into the chat here when we're done so that you can see the article. You can watch Vice President Biden's remarks and read President Trump's responses to a wide variety of questions from a variety of organizations posing questions to them. One of the things that kind of focused on this entire thing was to just make sure that veteran issues and military issues were getting to the forefront of the campaigns. Like I said, not just at the presidential level, but hopefully down ballot as well. You know, I think we've all seen most politicians say that they support veterans and that they, are going to fix the VA, whatever you might have. But when you push a little deeper, they don't necessarily always have the details. So we wanted to provide a forum in which we could kind of try and get a little bit deeper on that. So encourage you to check that out. Very briefly, other things IAVA's got going on is we're really pushing on legislation nationally. I just had some big wins that I want to highlight. The president signed 2 major pieces of legislation focused on mental health improvement. The Commander Hannon Act is going to provide VA grants to local organizations around the country to provide direct services to veterans. As most of you know, many of the veterans that die by suicide every day, the majority of those are not connected to the VA. So this is to hopefully begin to address that problem by providing services, providing money to local organizations that can do outreach and provide services to veterans in their area. The second piece of legislation that the president signed over the weekend establishes 988 as a suicide hotline. It's going to take a couple of years probably to fully get into effect, but this is a big starting point. It's basically so that people don't have to have memorized the long 1-800 number to get connected to veteran support services. This will be both veteran and civilian military focused, but you'll have the opportunity to press 1 or 2, whatever it ends up being, to get connected to veteran resources. But it's going to make it a lot easier for people to remember and know who to reach out to in a moment of crisis when they need to get connected to someone. And I'm seeing Joe Bell with the comment, the VA says it'll be up sometime in 2022. So that's great. Really looking forward to that. We're also pushing legislation that we hopefully can get passed this fall. We're in touch with some members of Congress. It's called the Deborah Sampson Act to increase support and services at the VA for women veterans. If you go to IAVA.org, you can learn about all these things, and you can send memos to your members of Congress encouraging them to support the Deborah Sampson Act, and we can hopefully get it passed before Congress convenes this December, and we have to start all over from scratch in the new year. Last thing I'll say, as we approach Veterans Day, we are going to be hosting a rally in DC, in Washington, DC, with Jon Stewart, with John Feel of the Feel Good Foundation, and really encouraging everyone to come out if they can, be socially distanced and safe, but to raise awareness and support for burn pits and toxic exposure. There's a number of pieces of legislation, probably 10 to 15 pieces of legislation that are making their way through Congress right now that would address all these things. Unfortunately, none of them are going to get passed this year. That's pretty much a fact, unfortunately. So rather than focusing on a single piece of legislation on Veterans Day, what we want to do is raise awareness nationally about the importance of passing legislation early in the 117th Congress, hopefully get the public, get veterans galvanized around a single piece of legislation, hopefully. And we're going to do that by raising awareness, getting veterans who've been exposed to toxic exposures, burn pits, what have you, and get the nation aware of the importance of this issue. And I'll post it in the chat, information about the rally, and more information will be coming, but we encourage everyone to share it and certainly encourage everyone to vote. So again, please go to iava.org. You can get the Vote Hub. You'll get all this information. I'm going to post it in the chat as well, but happy to answer any questions. I don't want to go on too long. Thank you, everyone.
Terrific. That's great. Thanks so much, Jeremy. And if for those who haven't checked that out, the this Military Times article and postings was actually quite insightful and quite useful in terms of gathering all the veterans topic has not been very much in the forefront of the debates that we've seen so far. So it was great to see some of that information out there. Any questions for Jeremy? They can feel free to send them across by message, and or if someone has a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask it, and then we'll move on. Okay. If not, then I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Hendon to talk about some of the updates of what the Department of Veteran Services has been active in, and then we'll turn it over to Q&A to the extent people have questions. Commissioner.
Hey, thanks so much, Todd. I just want to recognize and thank, everyone we've just heard speak before, Jeremy Butler and the great team at IAVA. And we appreciate everything you guys are doing, Jeremy, and you and Tom and all the folks there. Also, just want to call out Maria Serrano from the Department for the Aging and her great commissioner, who I consider a mentor and a friend, Lorraine Cortez Vasquez. And there's so much overlap between what the Department for the Aging and the Department of Veteran Services do, because 71% of all New York City veterans are 55 or older. And so there's just a very natural kinship there. And of course, I just want to recognize our members of the Veterans Advisory Board and our new members who are on. I know we've got, as Todd mentioned, Jennifer Komrowski, for whom this is her first time. And just acknowledge everyone on this call right now. We appreciate you. We don't exist without you, as far as everyone who's dialed in, who's called in, everyone who's reached out to us by whatever means. And so just take a moment to try to cover what's going on right now as far as things that involve our agency and the veteran community that are important to what we're dealing with in COVID-19. So I'm going to go through these things. I'm going to try to hit it as quick as I can, but get said what needs to be said so we're in the right place, and open up to any questions after that. The bedrock of what we do in the COVID era at this agency, as I've mentioned on prior meetings, comes out to food, comes out to housing, and comes out to employment. So I'll start with that, and then I'll add a few things to this. For food, 3 things I want to call out. One is the city's Get Food NYC program, where we do have folks on staff who can onboard any veteran who would like, or any New Yorker who would like, into the Get Food NYC program. You can always call us at 212-416-5250. You can email us at connect@veterans.nyc.gov. And you can find us on social media, think Facebook, think Instagram, think Twitter, it's at NYC Veterans. So, first one with food is just the city's Get Food NYC program, which can help folks connect the dots to having something to eat, whatever their situation is. 2 other pieces as far as food. Wednesdays, we volunteer and put out or work with volunteers in the community who pack meals that are distributed to VSOs across the city that are tied to HelloFresh. In other words, HelloFresh donates food to the veteran community, and we help make sure that it gets packed and sent out to our various veteran service organizations every Wednesday. So we're talking about fresh food. I'm talking about the chicken. I'm talking about rice. I'm talking about vegetables, you name it, all fresh and cold for you to prepare when you wish, as imperishables that comes out every Wednesday out of the Campaign Against Hunger for New York is the site that's from. 2,000 meals are distributed to our veteran service organizations. So for that effort, we'd ask you to reach out to any of your local VSOs, and it's likely they're receiving food through it, that they might get it to you. Another effort is occurring with the USDA's Farmers to Families Food Box program, and that's on Saturday mornings. Same type of situation, just a different borough and a slightly different count of meals that are prepared. And those are boxes that contain enough food to last a veteran and their family for a few days. We're talking about milk, eggs, yogurt, vegetables, protein, things along those lines. So for food, you can always reach out to us directly, or you can reach out to your local veteran service organization because they're receiving these things that you might get it indirectly. So one way or another to make sure that you're able to find something to eat between Get Food NYC and these other offerings. As far as housing goes, the first thing we tell all veterans to look at, if you're in a situation where there's housing distress, where you've got a worry about keeping that roof over your head, is to lean into our supportive services for veteran families, partners. I'm speaking of the Jericho Project. I'm speaking of Service for the Underserved. I'm speaking of Volunteers of America. And I'm speaking of Help USA. And so, long story short, for those providers, if you are at a certain income level or lower and you reach out to them for help, they will help you. And they've been plussed up with significant resources from the VA to do so. These are federally funded nonprofits, or federally subsidized nonprofits, where they've got VA money in their hands to help people who have served in the military get through these tough times as it pertains to housing and any tangential needs. And so once again, we're speaking of Help USA, we're speaking of the Jericho Project, we're speaking of Services for the Underserved and Volunteers for America. All this information is on our website, nyc.gov/vets. You can go to nyc.gov/vets, click resources or COVID-19 and click resources. You'll see everything under the sun there. Once again, nyc.gov/vets, click COVID-19, click resources, and you'll see all this information if you go to the housing tab as far as what they offer. Another piece for housing is our friends here in the city. Our partner agency, the Human Resources Administration, has a program called Home Base, where this is if you are in a situation where the cash is not where it needs to be for you to keep the roof on over your head. Reach out to HRA and you're still in that home. So you're not yet in a situation where you're in the shelter or a situation where you're out of the house. If you're in the home and it's about money, Home Base is the right program for you. And for that, I'd recommend there's a website, Access HRA, so Access Human Resources Administration. You can Google it, it comes up. Also, Access NYC, which is a launch pad to several things, including Access HRA and that home-based program. Once again, for housing, this is about our supportive services of veteran families, partners, and about the Human Resources Administration. So just putting those things out when you speak of housing. Next up is employment. Same thing as far as going to the website. We're at nyc.gov/vets. Click the COVID-19 tab and click resources. When you scroll down to employment, we list several different groups that we are highly bullish on, that we try to make sure our veterans know about so they can connect the dots for those who need to get a job, that they might get a job. Starting off, I want to speak to Maria's program that she just mentioned from the Department of the Aging, the senior employment program that they have, which provides effectively a part-time gig to any veteran, any New Yorker who's 55 or older, who's of a certain income level and who lives in this city. And so, it's an excellent program. Another one we always tell our folks about is SBS and their Workforce One program, which will help you go through the entire arc of getting yourself ready for that next job from cradle to grave. And it's an excellent program as far as SBS. Another one we mentioned is our friends at the Department for the Aging. They have a jobs board called NYC at Work, where for NYC at Work, they list all employers who are looking to hire people with disabilities and the job openings there. And it's constantly updated. Another one that's, I want to call out is the Jericho Project has a special employment program also. It's offered to any veteran who needs help on employment as well. Jericho, one of our friends on the SSVF side, has this, and it's something else I advocate. And last but not least, and there's so much more there, I'm just naming a few, we have something called EmpireVets.com, which one of our Vet Connect service providers has, where it basically takes your MOS and your background as far as the civilian experience and military experience. And it says, here's what we think is the best fit for you. Click here if you'd like to apply. We've been adamant about there being many more remote jobs on that site. And the same conversation we have with several other partners too. So we know that there are over 5,000 jobs available there, and many of which are remote. And so we'd recommend folks go to EmpireVets.com for that. So that's speaking of employment. So we covered food, we covered housing, we covered employment. I want to cover a few other things too, talking about face coverings. Over the summer, we have distributed more than 35,000 face coverings throughout the veteran community. It's similar to the food in that we're getting it to the VSOs and the VSOs are getting it out to veterans. We've got about, say, 4,000 remaining. And so for those, we're still in a process where I'd advise you to reach out to your VSO if you need a face cover. Reach out to them, and they know that if they are running out, to reach out to us. And so as far as face coverings go, we're so happy to have gotten these donated by an organization called Boomer Naturals, a company that made a donation to the city's veterans so we can be okay in this pandemic. Another thing to mention is micro grants. For our veteran service organizations, we have reached out to those that have their own lodges, their own post sites, and said effectively, look, fill out this short application so we can see what we can do to get you some money to help you if you've had any income disturbances or anything that has messed with the cash flow for your VFW lodge or your American Legion post. Anything that's done to disturb that, please fill this form out so we can get you some money to kind of help you get in the right place. Our agency's raised a good amount of money, and at the end of the day, these things are due on October 28th. Once the application is submitted, we're basically going to vet everything, make sure that, once we've gotten through and screened and everything's above board, all that remain, we will cut up the amount of money we've raised and distribute it to all those VSOs. And so, for folks who would like more information on that, same thing I mentioned, nyc.gov/vets, COVID-19. When you click resources, near the top, there's a link that tells you learn how your organization can receive a micro grant. Same thing goes for this one is for all VSOs, not just those who have their own property. We've got several $100 gift cards from Home Depot. Same situation. Say, hey, fill out a brief, very, very, very brief form. We'll take a look, vet it, make sure everything's above board, and then get this gift card to you for whatever your need is, assuming that it's something that deals in capital issues because it's Home Depot. So you can use that $100 gift card at Home Depot. And so, just want to make sure folks know about that. And once again, the key place for us for a lot of this is nyc.gov/vets. Click COVID-19, click resources, and you've got everything under the sun over there. Another one I want to mention is Mission Vet Check, which is, now for this one, the website is nyc.gov/vetcheck. Vet Check is a program through which we are performing buddy check calls on all the veterans in this community, everyone for whom we have a phone number for. We're reaching out and calling them. And we do this in partnership with New York Cares and with Thrive NYC. And for that program, it cuts two ways. A lot of these things do, actually. It's if you need a call, if you want a call, please go to that site, nyc.gov/vetcheck, sign up. We'd have somebody reach out to you just to check in. If you want to make calls, you can also sign up to volunteer there. And that program is driven by our volunteer pool. And we appreciate everyone who spends a little bit of time just saying, let me go and check in on a fellow veteran, see how they're doing. In this era of social isolation, in this era where our community is getting a little bit older and we've got folks for whom that call means so much, we encourage all who are listening, if you've got some time and you can say, yeah, I'm up for it. I can make a few phone calls to sign up. And once again, that's nyc.gov/vetcheck. Last one I want to mention. So to be clear, we've talked about food, talked about housing, talked about employment, talked about face coverings, talked about Mission Vet Check. We talked about these micro grants. As of this year, the New York City Department of Veteran Services has begun to process VA claims. So processing claims that a veteran would file for anything ranging from getting the certificate of eligibility for your educational benefits, if you need it, if the school won't provide it, and you need it from us, it's something we can do. If it's being able to sign up for or apply to remit VA pension, forgive me. If you're of a certain age and a certain income bracket and you've served in the military, you can apply for a VA pension. This is separate from saying I did my 20 and start to collect my check. If you are of a certain age, certain income bracket, and you've served, you can apply for a VA pension. That's something else we can help people connect the dots to do. And another one is the service-connected disabilities that many of us already know about, where we put our bodies through so much in this line of work, serving in the Air Force, in the Marines, in the Army, in the Navy, et cetera, that you can apply to have a claim, just submit it to the VA and they say, hey, look, based on what you've submitted here, we think that this is the amount that we will put your rating at. And that rating could be anywhere between, say, as little as $270 or so per month to $4,000 or more per month that you would receive for the rest of your life, as it's something that's being sent to you as basically annuity to account for the disability, the things you put yourself through. And for that, once again, you can reach out to us in all the traditional means. As far as you can call us, 212-416-5250. You can email us, connect@veterans.nyc.gov. Find us on social media. It's at NYC Veterans. We have a form on our website too. If you go to the contact tab, if you're on the website, you can just go there and find, that can be another way to reach out to us. And so that's all that we've got cooking that I think is germane right now, as far as to folks as we go through COVID. And by the way, for claims, we can do those appointments remotely. So wherever you are, if you're ready to begin this thing, we can start to work with you towards it and helping ensure you can file that application as far as the intent to file and all that follows, so you can wait and receive that word back from the VA on what happens there. So that's something else you can do in person. I'm sorry, that you can do remotely, forgive me, working with us. Last overall thing I want to say, and I'll cede my time, is, this is a two-way street. At the agency, we talk about our values. And to be clear, the mission of this agency is to connect, mobilize, and empower New York City's veteran community in order to foster purpose-driven lives for service members, past and present, in addition to their caregivers, survivors, and families. Our values are tenacity, empowerment, selflessness, and transparency. And so, to speak to empowerment, there's so much that we're doing to try to connect the dots that can be able to help add value to veterans, us working together with everyone. And I just ask you to feel free to, if you see an opportunity or a way for you to help us out in this work, don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd appreciate whatever you can do. If it's spreading the word about the food stuff that we're doing, if it's volunteering to call a fellow veteran, if it's letting another VSO know, hey, go here and click this to get that $100 gift card from Home Depot. Anything you can do to help us as we all work to help the veteran community, would be appreciated. There are 210,000 veterans in this community. I have wagered to say there are fewer than 210,000 people on this call. So I think all of us can do something just to get involved in some of the work to try to connect, mobilize, and empower. And I'm so grateful once again for this opportunity. And we just wish all who are on this call the best. And thank you so much. Back to you, Todd.
Great. Thank you very much. I guess other questions for the group. If anyone has questions, please type them in the chat for the commissioner. While people queue that up, we did get some questions prior to the event that were sent in by email. So I'll read those, and we can go ahead and discuss them. So one is from Charlotte Martin with the Intrepid organization. Asked about how we think about the role that we see cultural organizations, including museums, playing for veterans and their families during these trying times, and wanted to highlight that their doors are now open. Obviously, have limits on gathering, and so I believe you have to reserve that in advance. And then they also have a great deal of virtual programming as well. And the Intrepid Museum's free for veterans with advanced ticketing, and also with the virtual veteran and military family programs are free. So obviously we think that, and this is documented in our report as well, we think that cultural institutions and recognizing veterans in the history there is critical. So we're super excited to have the Intrepid. It's a really unique opportunity that obviously most cities don't have anything even remotely similar to that, and it's a great way to recognize and honor service, and also ensure that people remember and have those who haven't served have just a better understanding of what's involved, because many people don't really even have the opportunity to go onto a Navy ship. Next is the question about what is DVS doing to help financially support veterans who own businesses in New York City, loans or grants. And let me ask, I'm going to ask the commissioner to talk a little bit about that. Obviously, there are limitations to what the Department of Veteran Services can do, and won't get into this individual specific question, but there are some ways to sign up to possibly help get access to government contracts and others. So, Commissioner, if you don't mind responding to that, the question is, what can DVS do to help support veterans who own their own businesses in New York City? And I thought that might be a good segue to talk about some of the ways to sign up to do business with this
So this couple of things. First, I just want to call out Charlotte's question really quick, or her comment. And I thank you so much for, just saying that, Charlotte, as far as, just when we say what we can do to uplift one another in the community, it's not just about the veterans, but just even these folks who carry the culture of our community, as far as our VSOs and our museums. And so, I just want to, double down on her comment about, when I mentioned support and what we can do to be a part of this, it's also things like the great folks at the Intrepid. We account them as allies in all of this. And we appreciate the work they do there. Just want to say that, and especially with Susan, Marinov-Zausner, who is the executive director. To go to the point about financial support for VOBs in New York City, it's similar to when I talked about food, I mentioned how we're getting the food out to various VSOs, and those VSOs are distributing that food to the veterans. Right now, we've got a network of about 16 aggregators, entities that we have identified that are aggregators of folks who work with veteran entrepreneurs. And what we've been doing on about a monthly basis is, I'd say for 4 to 6 weeks, we send them the most recent update deck from SBS of various financial resources for entrepreneurs, period, to include veterans. And so we try to get that out to everything from Bunker Labs to the NYU Veterans Future Lab, to the LaGuardia Procurement Technical Assistance Center, to the Small Business Development Center out at City Tech College. Like, we try to get that out to these different groups that we know are in front of our veterans to be able to share it. And so that's one way we try to get this word out. Also, I believe that on that same page I mentioned, as far as nyc.gov/vets, go to the COVID-19 tab, hit resources. There's also a sub-tab there that contains a lot of resources for our entrepreneurs. So any and everything we find under the sun, we try to park it there. So that's another resource I'd recommend to look at. Beyond that, to what Todd was talking about as far as veteran procurement. So for finance, go to nyc.gov/vets, go to COVID-19, go to resources, scroll down and look at the tab that talks about veteran entrepreneurs. That's one piece. For procurement, what we've been doing is working with our city partners to effectively, promote the city certification for veteran entrepreneurs. So if you're a veteran and you qualify to become certified as a minority business enterprise, then go get certified. If you qualify to be certified as a woman-owned business enterprise, then go get certified. If it is as an emerging business enterprise, if it is as a locally based enterprise, then we urge you to get certified. And between all of these, believe that almost all of our New York City veterans, through one way or another, be it EBE, LBE, MBE, or WBE, have a pathway to certify with the city. And so that's one piece. Another thing, too, is right now, as far as, working with the city or procurement with the city, for those who are veteran certified and who are EBEs, who are veteran owned EBEs, that group, along with our minority business and women business enterprises, are folks who have don't have as many hurdles to go through contract-wise with the city in this current climate, which is a very big deal. To be clear, for those who are veteran entrepreneurs who either are MWE certified or who are EBE certified, you have fewer hurdles to go through from a contracting situation as far as contracting with the city of New York right now. And so we just urge folks who are looking at doing business with the city, you can always reach out to us on this. We have a separate address that's called business@veterans.nyc.gov. So you just email business@veterans.nyc.gov if you have those questions. But, beyond that, know that we're doing what we can to try to make it an environment where you can really succeed as far as doing business with the city, if that's something you desire. I hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you. The last question that we got in advance was related to the MTA's paratransit service, and currently is not approving applications for those with disabilities that are not physical. There's no acceptance or appreciation for those living with severe anxiety. As a consequence, veterans could be unfairly relegated to remaining isolated and unable to access certain resources in the community. This is the first I've heard of this, and I do think it's a very important topic or issue. Really, any disability is a relevant one, and so I don't believe that physical ones and mental or emotional ones should be categorized differently. And I don't know. We'll look into that. I don't know, frankly, how to advocate for that with the MTA, but that's something that we should certainly look into. So I appreciate that that question being raised.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, and we'll look into that. And as Todd mentioned, we'll do our homework also on that. So on that question.
Yeah, with that. If there is, I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else, any other questions that come across. No other questions on the chat. Anyone who's on my phone have a question or otherwise, either for the VAB or for the DVS?
This is Lapsang, and does the DVS has any information about the COVID-19 impact on veterans? Any record or any information for New York City?
Lapsang, thanks for that question. Also, thanks for the work you did on the census. I know you were, very much involved in all the census efforts this past year. As far as that granular information about the veterans, how we've been impacted by COVID, we don't have that in the agency. I got to tell you, as far as granular information on our veterans, and it's not just about COVID, but in general. Right now, the public use microdata, which is the set of Census Bureau information where you can really drill down on those types of questions, it does not include veteran as far as what it is factoring when it looks at these things. So when we look at the federal data that we pull from for this kind of stuff, it's not something that's accounted for there. And this information isn't available to us through other means. So something that we are looking at is trying to put out a survey of the veteran community so we can start to collect information ourselves and have touch points on different issues that affect our veterans. So I'm speaking beyond COVID-19, but just in general, so we can have a better idea of what our community looks like in granular detail here in the 5 boroughs. So I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I can tell you we're working to try to chop the tree down on this kind of stuff.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions?
Hello.
There's a question in the chat, Todd.
Yes.
Thank you. So the question, is, has there been discussions regarding the upcoming Veterans Day Parade? Will it be virtual? So that's a great question. There have been many discussions and efforts at that. And there are, I believe that the United War Veterans Council is doing a virtual parade. I don't know, is anyone from the United War Veterans Council on the line and that knows the exact details? Okay, sounds like not. I do believe that they have a virtual effort, and then there's a number of physical fitness oriented efforts, whether it's walks or marches or what have you, that are out there. And then I know James, the commissioner, just sent out the latest link that has the information about that as well. But unfortunately, the formal traditional Veterans Day parade in the traditional sense has been canceled for relatively obvious reasons.
I just want to add,
if you go to that link, you can. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to add. We put the link there, but I mentioned earlier. We've got volunteers working to get food put out as far as, sorted and distributed every Wednesday and every Saturday. And Wednesday, Veterans Day this year falls on a Wednesday. So if people want to do something where we are mindful, we have a great deal of ventilation in the space. It's basically a distribution center where it's, you got a lot of, you've got the right things that we're accounting for from a public health perspective. And you want to do something. We encourage you to come out and join us as far as just getting food out to our veterans on that day. If people have an itch they want to scratch there. Aside from that, everything that the UWVC is doing, it's nycvetsday.org. And that takes you to the, basically right around what Joe just put you at as well. These are both different ways to get to the same spot to learn about what's going on Veterans Day.
Yeah, quick question on the micro grant. I understand we did submit our paperwork for our American Legion Post. I do understand, I think you have $25,000 you're looking to distribute. I thought there was a deadline, but I noticed you reissued again the application. My point is, seems that the more VSOs that you do put in, the less is going to be distributed. A lot of veteran service organizations that do have a building, to be honest with you, thousands of dollars have been lost. So to give $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, which is though it's grateful, is really just a small amount in the bucket. So my question is, are you looking to just, get so many VSOs that at the end you're just going to give $100 per VSO?
Joe, I got the answer, but I want to defer to Cass Alvarez, our associate commissioner, because this is her baby. But I got the answer. But Cass, I don't know if you want to take that question from Joe. And thank you for the question too, brother. We appreciate you.
Hi, Joe. Thank you for the question. So we're not extending the deadline for the micro grants. It's going to end on October 28th. And given the responses that we've received thus far, we believe that the grants will be north of $500. They may be closer to $1,000, which we believe will be really helpful for the organizations that have applied. What I was referring to earlier was an extension in the deadline for the Home Depot gift cards. We've got a big supply of those, and we are open to accepting applications for those through the end of the year. But no, the VSO micro grant deadline is a hard deadline of October 28th. So we share your concern. We know that this is a small way to help. By no means replaces the revenue that you guys have lost. But we are sticking to that deadline to honor those who submitted their applications in a timely fashion. And again, we're looking at grants right now at this moment north of $500. So thank you for your question, Joe.
And thank you very much for the program. Do you know when, if and when they will be submitting paying, if you're selected, when the checks would go out or payment?
Yes. So after the grant period closes on October 28th, we're going to allow for one more week for mail to come in. A lot of VSOs have been submitting applications via mail, and so we want to respect those who have used that method of communication with us. After that period, it may take up to about 4 weeks or so to get the checks out to you guys. We are partnering with the Mayor's Fund to distribute those funds to you. And so it should be around the time of, I'd say, December or so. Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Hey, I know we got a little bit of silence. I just want to, and Cass, help me out if I'm off on this. Joe, the window had opened and closed early, but I know at some point earlier this year, we had these economic injury disaster loans that were coming out from the government as part of the CARES Act. It was the $10,000 that's available if you have any pain you're going through for your business. And that was also available to veteran service organizations, effectively to the VSOs that have lodges, that have revenue, et cetera. And everyone snatched that money up so quickly that it disappeared before we could even really, people could put hands on it. And I would just say, I don't know what the future holds, but I've mentioned it before to folks that I just want us to be mindful of that program in case any other money comes into it, in case, there's another stimulus or things happen beyond us in DC and that thing gets funded again. I don't want any of our VSOs to miss out on that opportunity. That was 10 grand, no questions asked effectively. It's just the money got snatched up so fast. I just want to point that out.
I have a question. Ashton Stewart, Sage Vets. Thank you so much to members of the Veteran Advisory Board and Commissioner Hendon and the New York City Division of Veterans, Department of Veteran Services. Got my head stuck in the division at the state level. Anyway, so nice to see you all again and be part of this conversation, all the tremendous work DVS is doing right now through this pandemic. Just want to also acknowledge the fact that Veterans Day is coming up. Something that was discussed just the other day. Commissioner pointed out the difficulty of trying to help those who are veterans who haven't accepted the identity as a veteran yet. We struggle with that all the time. Sage Vets is a program for elder LGBT veterans in New York State. A lot of those people have been discharged with less than honorable or other than honorable discharges because of their sexual orientation. The Restoration of Honor Act, can't say enough about it. The most inclusive legislation I've ever seen for veterans is for New York State vets who were kicked out for sexual orientation, gender identity, TBI, PTSD, or MST. And we're hearing from people who are reaching out for the first time, trying to get connected to services because they're in a desperate state, and also they want their honor restored. This is just restoring at the state level and getting access to state veteran benefits, but it's also a psychological healing process. A lot of the veterans we talk to, once they share their story and they start to hear other similar stories, they're leading the way for other veterans who have experienced similar situations. They are not alone. And we've been really lucky to be able to help out a lot of these veterans. So I just wanted to throw it out there. November, we got a big program with Sage Vets to discuss the anti-LGBT policies that have occurred in the military and how far the military has come overcoming that by ending Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It'll be 10 years to the date on December 22nd. So November 19th, we're doing a virtual program. We're piecing it together right now. And I also have a question about this. There's a program that DPS is offering called Duals, which is offering support to legal entities that are helping with discharge upgrades. And I'm just wondering what the status is on that. I know that it wasn't even posted until May with COVID and everything else happening right now. I just wanted to see if there is any movement on that. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share.
Ashton, thank you so much for the question. I'm going to defer to Cass to answer it. I just want to mention, briefly, please keep us posted as far as, and we'll help spread the word also about the events coming up honoring the 10 years, since, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed. And we appreciate everything you guys are doing at Sage. But I'm going to defer to Cass on that as far as the Duals program.
Thanks, Commissioner. So regarding the Duals program, right now we are in contract drafting. We understand that will take us into early next year, and we're hoping that the contracts will be deployed early next year. So we're looking at the January, February, March timeline or so. Hard to say right now, but that is the timeline that we're looking at for that project.
Great. Thank you so much, Cass and Commissioner Hendon.
Hello, my name is David E. Jenkins Jr. And this question is for Mr. Henson. Mr. Henson, can you please repeat that information about the government thing that you said they got snatched up so quick?
Oh, I was talking about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. This was when the first CARES Act was distributed. This was the program whereby qualifying small businesses, and they intentionally wrote language that basically said to veterans, the type of charter that a VSO Lodge would have, basically were eligible to apply for this funding. And it was basically you could apply for a loan, but the first $10,000 was, in so many words, was not really a loan, but a grant at the end of the day. What happened was shortly after the program came up, though, David, businesses all over the creation snatching up that money. And so by the time a lot of our veterans were in the mix to go and really vie for it, the entire program was depleted. And I was just mentioning that we need to stand by and just be aware if anything like this happens again, that we can make sure our community takes advantage of these things as soon as possible. That's what I was saying.
Thank you so much for that.
Terrific. If no other questions, then I might suggest that we adjourn.
That was quick.
Appreciate everyone's time and attention, and hopefully we learned something. Please pass it along to your brothers and sisters on your left and your right.
Hello.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much. Very good meeting.
Thanks, everybody.
I missed
Somebody have a question?
Yeah, I had a.
Voting starts Saturday.
Okay.
Is that
If
done?
I can still do it, I don't know. Can
There's
I?
still some folks on.
It seems like everybody's leaving. All right. Good night.
I'll wait. Go ahead and ask your question.
I wanted to put some information out.
Okay.
If it's okay.
Sure, yeah, no, go ahead with the,
Okay,
we know we can pass.
So, I am the chair of Brooklyn Community Board 3 Veterans Committee. My name is Doug Williams. Last year we did a parade, and this year we're doing a virtual resource event, so that resources for veterans. And if the DVS has not been invited to this, I wanted to reach out to them to invite them to this resource event. And it's going to take place on November 7th, which is a Saturday. And if you need any information, flyer, or anything like that, I will be glad to send it to you.
That's great. If you can, maybe you can send me an email and I can get it to Commissioner Hendon and confirm that he's gotten it. I'm T Haskins, THASKINS, VABNYC at gmail.com. And actually, you're welcome to copy the commissioner on that. His email address is jhendon, HENDON, at veterans.nyc.gov.
Thank you.
And Doug, send it to my city council email address, Doug.
Okay, Joe, I can do that as well.
Yeah, good point, Joe.
Todd, can you repeat that one more? Email.
Sure. Todd is, and actually everyone on the VAB has the same mnemonic. So it's first letter, last name. So in my case, T Haskins, VABNYC at Gmail. And then Commissioner Hendon is jhendon at veterans.nyc.gov. And I believe that most others at the, well, it's a mix of that same plan as well as first name, last name for most of the folks who work at DVS.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, great. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Stay well, Michael Kane. Good seeing you.
Hello, Mike.